Ever spend 2 hours watching a brilliant video essay or reading a deeply researched thread, feeling incredibly smart the whole time, only to wake up the next day completely unable to explain a single concept you consumed? It happens when we prompt AI models too. We ask a series of questions, get instant, articulate answers, and walk away feeling like experts. But the actual knowledge left behind is almost zero. Psychologists call this the illusion of explanatory depth. It is the tendency to confuse the smooth, confident delivery of information with the actual transfer of knowledge into our own brains. When an author, a video editor, or an algorithm perfectly structures an explanation for you, your brain does not have to do any heavy lifting. The logic is pre-chewed. This means the frictionless design of modern content delivery, the very thing making it so engaging, is the exact opposite of the environment your brain requires to encode new information. To actually learn something, your brain needs cognitive friction. You have to hit a roadblock that breaks your current understanding. It is supposed to be slightly uncomfortable. Yet the entire modern tech ecosystem is explicitly engineered to eliminate all roadblocks. The goal is to keep you moving, never stopping to struggle. Thousands of years ago, a specific mechanism was built precisely to inject this struggle back into the process: Socratic questioning. Real knowledge is never passively memorized. It is forged through a specific, iterative process. You propose a flawed idea, someone pushes back, and you are forced to rebuild your mental model based on that new resistance. Let's test this with a ridiculous shower thought. If an airplane flies continuously west at a speed that perfectly counters the Earth's rotation, does time stop at 10 a.m. forever? This diagram shows what we intuitively think would happen. If the spin dictates the time of day, and the plane neutralizes the spin, you should be isolated from the passage of time. But here is the first Socratic pushback. What happens to the calendar when that plane crosses the international date line? The clock might read 10 a.m., but the date suddenly jumps. Time did not stop, it just drifted. The second pushback forces us to strip away our human conventions. Hours and dates are just arbitrary grids we overlaid on a rock floating in a void. You can pause the clock on your dashboard, but you cannot pause the physical rotation of the planet. Look at what that brief exchange forced your brain to do. You bounced from basic physics to global geography, out to astronomy, and finally landed on logic. That sequence, breaking a flawed assumption and integrating new variables, is how we move from simply hearing a fact to actually understanding the system behind it. A single targeted pushback took a passive shower thought and turned it into an active expansion of how you understand the physical world. If this is the most effective way to learn, why isn't it the standard for all education? Because the Socratic method requires an expert sparring partner, a good teacher who can listen to your specific flaws and systematically dismantle them in real time. Mass media democratized information, but it killed the dialogue. Books and search engines can hand you facts, but they cannot argue with your specific misconceptions. Historically, having a dedicated intellectual sparring partner to guide your curiosity was a scarce luxury, usually reserved for those within elite academic or social circles. Large language models collapse the cost of this interaction. They take a dialogue that used to require an elite education and turn it into a commodity as accessible as a search result. But there is a hidden flaw. A human teacher's job is to make you uncomfortable by telling you straight to your face when your assumptions are wrong. An AI model is a consumer product. It is engineered to be helpful, smooth, and above all, to satisfy the user's intent. When you bring a biased or flawed premise to a machine designed to please you, it will not naturally challenge you. Instead, it starts with your single flawed idea, and the AI uses its massive processing power to build a beautifully structured, highly convincing network of arguments that supports your exact misconception. Without deliberate provocation, it isn't a teacher at all. It is the ultimate yes man, constructing an impenetrable intellectual echo chamber built precisely to your shape. We are looking at a hard split in how people use this technology, creating two very different cognitive paths. The passive user feeds the machine their existing ideas and receives a customized, comfortable bubble that perfectly mimics the feeling of deep thought. The active user weaponizes the machine. They demand it find the holes in their logic, explicitly asking it to dismantle their assumptions and challenge their premises. Because the machine is built to serve, it will never initiate that friction on its own. This technology offers a massive expansion of our cognitive reach, But that expansion only happens if you are willing to use the machine to prove yourself wrong.